Today I'm going to be ranking all the Twisted Metal box arts, starting with Twisted Metal Head On. I like that this one is a realistic looking Sweet Tooth ice cream truck, and I also like the big head that it has on the back. I like the bullet holes that are on it, but I just think that it's somewhat plain. The only other thing you can see besides Sweet Tooth's truck is the Eiffel Tower in the background, which is, doesn't take up very much of the cover itself. And the Twisted Metal logo looks pretty cool with the neon green, but there's just better overall. I think the truck itself is pretty ugly and the colors are more muted compared to other pieces, so I just think there's better pieces to come. Next is Twisted Metal 4. This one is, the Sweet Tooth in my opinion is very ugly. It looks like amateurish as far as the quality of the design, but that's just because of how old the technology they were using was to create everything. I think the cars look actually pretty good. I like the motion that they're giving off, coming from the center. I like the chrome logo, that always looks nice, but I think that well, for one, they have Sweet Tooth twice, which is kind of redundant, and it's kind of chaotic, but not in a good way. You just can't really tell what's going on in the background, really. There's some buildings, it looks like, and like a stadium or something, but I would have liked maybe a little bit more detail in the background. Twisted Metal 3, I ranked this one above the other ones because I actually really like the design of the Sweet Tooth head. The colors in the background are nice also. I think the font looks really good on this one. Also probably better than the other two. It kind of suffers from the CGI thing before, but I think it's aged a little bit better. I think Sweet Tooth should be creepy, and I think this does a good job at making Sweet Tooth creepy, but it suffers from the other covers. One of the other covers that we mentioned earlier just being too plain. It just has the Sweet Tooth head in the text. Moving on to the original one. This one I like. I like the motion that's being shown between Darkseid and I don't know what that other car is, but obviously you can see like some kind of accident, and it really looks like Sweet Tooth is like moving on this freeway. I like the art style. It looks more realistic, and it looks like it's almost drawn in like pencil or something like that, which is pretty cool. I think the actual composition, the way that the font is above the art instead of below, lines up nicer. And the way that the cars are coming towards the viewer makes it look pretty cool. This is a pretty solid one. This one, Small Brawl, I had ranked lower initially, but like after analyzing it a lot, I actually decided that it was pretty decent. I think the font, I think everything about this cover does a good job at showcasing what the game is going to be about, which is what a cover should do. So the font's goofy. The character Sweet Tooth obviously is goofy. I like the way that it's showing the motion with the missile. The truck is coming towards us, and then the excavator is moving away. The only thing I really didn't like about this one is the fact that I feel like the truck is like too big that's coming towards Sweet Tooth. Doesn't really make sense. But I think there's a good amount of detail in this one. I really like that one. Now we're getting into the top 3. Twisted Metal 2. I think they do a really good job of colors. A good job at putting some background details. I think the logo looks really cool with the Sweet Tooth head, the bullet holes in the text. The only thing I don't like is I feel like Axel looks a little bit too close to the, I think it's Stinger, the IndyCar. It kind of looks like everything's a little bit too smushed together, so it looks a little bit amateurish. It doesn't really look as realistic as it could be, but I like the colors a lot, and I think overall this one is a really solid one. Now we got Twisted Metal 2012. This one I think is really good. It got a realistic Sweet Tooth in the background that's really scary. It looks really awesome. It takes up, the majority of the background, and then in the foreground you have all these different cars from the game, doing battle. And I think the white here really adds to it in a weird way. It does have some little what looks like almost like watercoloring to like do buildings or something like that. But I think that it's kind of cool because, you know, it makes you use your imagination kind of for like what the levels are kind of gonna look like. But I think that this one is really striking. I like the simple black text over the hair. Doesn't make it look like it's doing too much. This is a really good one. And moving on to the best, what people would say is arguably the best Twisted Metal game, also has one of the best box arts. I think that even though it doesn't really do the best job at showing what Twisted Metal is as a game with the car combat, I think at this point in the series, everyone knows who Sweet Tooth is. He's synonymous with the series. And I think the actual Sweet Tooth head is just super cool looking. I would hang this poster in my room. I think that the text alignment and the text font that they chose really works well. I like that the paper is peeling and it looks aged. It really kind of speaks to the series as a whole. I mean, it's very, you know, gritty and dark and kind of yeah, it's realistic, you know. It's not everything's going to be perfect, so I think that it does a really good job in maybe a more what is it? Not subliminal way, but yeah, I think all these little things add to the game. The black background is obviously showing the bleak nature of the game, and just the realistic, super evil looking Sweet Tooth is also setting the tone for the game to come forward. So I think that it's a really cool art piece. I think a lot of the art in this game is really good, and yeah, that's my ranking, guys. Thanks for watching.